welcome back to the BiGDUG studios. We're at a new time this month, so we'll be with you on a Tuesday at 6 o'clock and a Wednesday lunchtime at 12:30. So these sessions will be for anybody that's a beginner, and they're just going to be quick half-an-hour sessions. So if you're home from lunchtime, just grab a mat, drop in with us, and then back to work nice and refreshed and stretched out. So let's come onto our mats then, taking the feet about hip width apart and just softening off those knees and taking a deep breath in through the nose. Bring the palms together and exhale past the heart. So inhale and exhale. 3 more then. Inhale and exhale. Last 2. And exhale, last 1. And just leave those palms together for me above the head. And then as you exhale, drop over to the right, just to give a little stretch through that left side. On the inhale, bring it back into center, and then over to the left. So stretching through that right side. Knees stay soft. Come back into center. 1 more to each side then. And back to center. And last time over to that left. Try not to hold your breath. And bring it back into center and open those hands up towards the ceiling, really lifting up. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And then as you exhale, hands come down by the sides for me. Just relax through the shoulders. We're going to take a sway left and then right. Just warming up through the body. Head is following the hands. Before bringing it back into center for me, placing the hands by the sides, palms facing forward, fingers are open. Just close the eyes for me. Just relaxing through the shoulders and concentrating on the breath. As you inhale and exhale. 2 more then. And exhale. Last 1. And this time as you exhale, hands rise above the head as the eyes open for me. From here, just swan dive it down towards the floor, just hinging from the hips and reaching as far down as you can manage. So don't worry if you don't come all the way to that mat. And then when you're ready, bring yourself down onto your knees, and we're going to come into tabletop position. So knees are underneath the hips, wrists are underneath the shoulders for me. And from here, on the inhale, look forward, dip the back into cow pose. Exhale, round through the back, chin comes to the chest, into cat. Inhale forward. Exhale round. 3 more then. Inhale. And exhale. Last 2. Inhale. And exhale. Last 1 then. And exhale. And just coming back into that regular tabletop position for me then. So from here, just push the weight of the bum back towards that right heel. Circle it over to the left and just circle forward. So small or as large a circle as you feel comfortable with. And remember, any pain underneath the knees, you can always put a little towel or an extra bit of padding under there, just to give you that little bit more support. And let's just reverse it. So coming forward on the inhale, over to the left and to the right and forward. So inhaling forward, exhaling back. Just warming up through that body, opening up through the hip and coming back into that tabletop position for me. So just making sure then that the fingertips are open, pressing down through the palms. From here, all you're going to do is push the weight back and come into child's pose. So if you need to stay on the palms, you can. Otherwise, bring the forearms down and the forehead. If you feel a little bit more comfortable with the knees to the outside edge of the mat, take them there to allow you to sink that little bit further down. So making sure then that the weight is flat back towards the heels, shoulders are relaxed. Two more breaths here then. And then we're going to come back up into that tabletop position for me then. So squaring the knees off and making sure they're underneath the hips. Wrists are under the shoulders. Extend that right leg out for me. So you're just going to tuck those right toes, hips stay square to the mat, and just give the heel on the right a little bit of a press down for me. Just to give a stretch through the calf muscles. Still pressing down through the palms and belly still pulls in. Gaze is down towards the mat for me to keep the neck nice and long. And then when you're ready, that right knee pulls back in and left leg stretches out. Left toes tuck and heel just presses towards the floor. Three more breaths here then. Before returning that knee back underneath the hips, so we're back into that tabletop position. Just tuck the toes for me and lift the hips to come up into downward facing dog. So don't worry if these heels don't go to the floor. If you need to keep the knees nice and soft, that's fine. Fingertips stay open and back is as flat as you can get it. So keeping those hips nice and high for me. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. And a big breath out through the mouth. Breathing in and breathing out. And then from here, all I want you to do is just roll through into that high plank position. So if this is too much for you, you can drop down to the knees, just untuck the toes and hold here. So whichever you feel comfortable with. Fingertips are still open, palms still press into the mat. And then wherever you are, lift the hips, drop the heels back into that downward facing dog for me. So once more then, roll it through into either your high plank or drop into the knees, gazes to the floor, belly stays pulled in. Remembering if you are in that high plank, don't dip that back, stay nice and strong. If you're not already on the knees, then drop to the knees and return yourself back into that tabletop position. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And from here, taking that left arm out to the side, thread it underneath that right arm to bring the left shoulder down to the floor. Now you can leave the right hand where it is, or you can stretch it out in front of you, whichever you feel more comfortable with. So just in front of that shoulder, or stretched out. Big toes are together, hips are high, and just gently resting on the side of the head. Two more breaths here then for me. And when you're ready, return yourself back into that tabletop position and just check that everything's still nice and square, fingers are still open, knees are under the hips before extending that right arm out. And let's take it to the other side. So right shoulder comes to the floor this time, and that left hand stays just in front of the left shoulder or stretches out across the mat. Big toes are together and hips are high. And when you're ready, return yourself back into that tabletop position for me then. So we're just going to come into a little bit of a vinyasa here. So keeping the knees underneath the hips, I just want you to sit it back again into that child's pose. So remembering if you can just stay on the palms or the forearms, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, just bring the forehead down and relax through the shoulders. So from here then, slowly first, we're going to come up into that tabletop position. Then from here, you're going to lower the chin towards the floor. So keeping those elbows tight. As the chin gets close to the floor, drop the chest down and the thighs and just press up. From here, sit it back into that child's pose again then. So push the weight back Knees stay exactly where they are. So coming back up again into tabletop. Remember, chin leads the way. So chin, chest, thighs, press up. So slight back bend here. Keeping the elbows nice and soft, gaze is forward and down. One more then, inhale to sit it back into child's pose for me. So we're just trying to create a wave-like motion with this one. So inhale, tabletop. Remember, wrap those elbows in, chin comes down, followed by the chest and the thighs, pressing up here. So try not to hold your breath. And then when you're ready, last time to sit it back into that child's pose. Really stretching those arms out if that's comfortable. Pushing the weight of the bum back towards the heels. And staying in child's pose then, I want you to take the knees to the outside edge of the mat and bring the big toes together. And then when you're ready, just come up onto the fingertips. So the forehead and the forearms now float off the mat. And you're going to walk the hands as far around to the right side as you can go. So once they're there, the hands can stay side by side, or you can place that left palm on the back of the right hand. So feeling a slight stretch here through that left side. Try not to hold your breath. And then walking the hands back towards the centre. Before taking it over to that left side for me. So inching it around. And then hands side by side, or right palm on the back of that left one. And then coming back into centre for me. Still staying on those fingertips. And if you can, just inch them a little bit further forward, just to give that stretch in the lats, in the side muscles a little bit more. So keep the weight pressed back towards the heels, head and forearms are lifted. 2 more breaths here then. Before dropping those forearms and palms back onto the floor and just resting the head down if it'll go. Otherwise, just stay with the forearms on the floor. Just giving those shoulders a little bit of a rest. And then when you're ready, come back up into that tabletop position. So square those knees back off. So knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. And from here, you're going to step that left foot forward. So left knee is going to come above the left ankle. Hands at either side of that foot just to stabilise yourself. And just slide that right leg back until you can feel a stretch in the top of that hip. So toes are untucked. Now you can stay here, or if you want to, you can bring the hands above the knee, just pressing down through that hip, or if you want to, bring them up above the head. So choice of 3 here. You're just concentrating on keeping that stretch into that right hip for me. So pressing down through the left foot. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Just sinking it down, feeling the stretch. And then when you're ready, bring both hands down to the inside edge of that left foot, placing them on the floor. Just back the stretch off a little bit to allow you to step that left leg back. And just reposition yourself before stepping the right one forward. Right knee above the right ankle, hands either side. Slide that left knee back until you can feel a stretch in the hip. And hands to the floor, above the knee, or stretched up in towards the ceiling. So just making sure you can feel that stretch in the hip. Keeping the front knee and ankle in line. Chest is lifted here. Unless, of course, you've got the hands on the floor. And then when you're ready, you bring both hands down for me. Back the stretch up a little bit and step that right foot back for me. And we're just going to come around, staying in tabletop. I'm going to turn to face you. Just turn the fingers to point towards each other, or as close as you can get. Fingertips stay open, and you're just going to give a sway left to right. Just giving a stretch through the forearms. And if you've been at work this morning on a computer, this one will be a good one for you. Just stretching them out. Coming back into centre for me. You're then going to turn the fingers to point towards the body. Now don't worry if they don't come all the way round, just to wherever you feel comfortable with. Fingertips are still spread, and you're just going to rock forwards and backwards. Not too much, just giving a stretch to that forearm. Breathing in as you come forwards, and exhaling as you take it back for me. So just bringing it back into centre. Turn the hands to face away from you this time. So this one I need you to be nice and careful with. You're going to keep the left hand to the floor, fingertips are open. You're just going to turn the back of that right hand to the mat for me. So the weight is into that left hand. And you're just going to give a rock forwards and backwards. So we're giving a stretch to the back of the hand, back of the wrist. So making sure then the weight stays in that left hand. You don't need to go very far with this one at all. Coming back into centre then, let's turn the right hand back to the floor, fingers are open, back of the left hand comes down, weight is in that right hand. So just rock forwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. Just giving a little stretch through those wrists. So much time these days is spent on phones, tablets and laptops. We don't really give our wrists enough attention. And bringing it back into centre, turn that palm to face back down, and you're just going to sit back onto the heels for me, or you can stay on the knees if that's a little bit uncomfortable. Just give the wrists a little bit of a shake, maybe circle the shoulders, taking them back. So inhale, shoulders up to the ears, exhale them back. One more then, and exhale, let's bring them forward, so shoulders to the ears, circle forward, 2, and last one here. So just give them a shake, and you're going to come down onto the bum then now, so stretching those feet out in front of you and taking them to the outside edge of the mat if you're feeling a little bit more flexible, otherwise about hip width apart. You're going to place the hands just down behind you to give you some support. So whichever way those fingers feel comfortable for you. Then from here, drop both knees over to that left side. Bringing them back over to the right, so don't worry if they don't go all the way down. And to the left. And we're going to leave them on that left side. You're going to take the right hand and walk yourself around towards the back of the mat. Now don't worry if you don't go all the way around, it doesn't matter. So stay here on the palms. Or if you feel a little bit more flexible today, you come down to the forearms. Or if you want to, you can bring the forehead to rest on the back of the palms. Or back of the hands even. So the stretch here then is through that part of the body. Remembering just to take it as far as you feel comfortable with today. Just relax through the shoulders. Bring yourself back up, and let's come back around to the front of the mat. If you slip down a little bit, reposition yourself. Keeping the hands just behind, drop both knees over to the right. And let's take the left hand around, walking all the way around as far as you can go, then staying on the palms, or bringing the forearms down, or just resting that forehead onto the back of the hands. Just bringing your attention into your breath. Trying to relax through the shoulders. And then when you're ready, bring yourself back up then. And we're taking it all around to the front one more time. Just bringing those feet a little bit closer together then, so they're about hip width apart. You might want to shuffle down the mat a little bit. Extend the arms out. And then you're slowly going to roll it all the way back down. So pulling the belly in as you go. Gaze is forward, chin stays off the chest. And then once you're onto the floor, just give those shoulders a little bit of a shake, just to make you nice and comfortable, and walk the heels a little bit closer to the bum for me. So palms are going to face up towards the ceiling. And then when you're ready, slowly you're going to lift the hips up, so peeling that spine off the floor, pressing down through the feet, and coming up into that bridge position for me. So squeezing up through the glutes. So ribs stay down, making sure then that the knees, hips and feet point in the same direction. So staying up in bridge, trying to not let those knees collapse in or fall out. And then slowly we're going to roll back down again. So just planting the spine down bit by bit. All the way down. Until you're back down on the floor. And we've got one more then. So inhale, slowly lift up. Slow and controlled. There's no rush. Once you're at the top, just hold here. Breathing in and breathing out. Then slowly rolling it back down. Just planting that spine down bit by bit until we're back onto the floor. So once you're onto the floor, just move the heels a tiny fraction away. Knees still point up. From here then we're going to stretch through the psoas. So as you inhale, tip the pelvis towards you, pressing that lower back into the floor and pulling the belly button into the spine. Try not to hold your breath here. Keep pressing that lower back in. And as you exhale, just release. So tilting the pelvis back forwards for me. So inhale, tip the pelvis towards you, lower back presses into the mat. And release. So one more then. Inhale, tip the pelvis towards you, lower back into the mat for me. Try not to hold your breath as you press that back in. Just release it back down for me. And then however you feel comfortable, I want you to come up to seated for me. So whichever way you need to come up. And once you're up, crossing the feet around in front of you. Unless that's uncomfortable, you can always leave them out in front, whichever you prefer. So you're just going to place the hands by the sides for me. And when you're ready, reaching over with that left hand. Just giving a slight bend to that right elbow. This left knee is going to stay down onto the floor, so try not to lift it up. As you exhale, that left hand comes down, right one stretches over. And switch sides again for me. And last time then. From here, both hands come down behind you and you're just going to press that chest forward. So keeping these shoulders away from the ears. So pressing into the mat, gaze is forward. Breathing in and breathing out. And then when you're ready, bring the hands around in front of you. You're just going to walk them out to allow you to come into a bend here. So just softening through the back. Breathing out. And if you want to, you can take the head side to side. Or you can nod it up and down, slowly and controlled. And bringing it back into centre for me. So still staying in that forward fold. Just relaxing through the shoulders. Concentrating on the breath. And then when you're ready, use the hands to bring yourself back up to seated. And if your legs are crossed, I want you to just slide them out in front of you. I'm going to turn on a slight angle so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to take that left foot across and just plant it down on the outside edge of that right leg. It doesn't matter if it's low down, wherever you feel comfortable with, and you can just hold here, placing the hands down by the sides for me. Left hand is going to stay just under that left shoulder. We're going to take this right arm and just place it on the outside edge of that left leg. Now if that is too much for you, you can just place it on that lower part of the leg. And you're just going to take a gaze over that left shoulder for me then. So whichever place you feel comfortable, hand on that lower leg, just above that knee with the elbow. So just creating a twist in that spine. Thumb stays on the mat, so try not to rock over to that right side too much. And then when you're ready, uncross and place both legs out in front of you. Just sit up nice and tall. Let's bring the right one across this time now. So right hand stays down on the mat. You can either press against that lower left leg with the palm, or you can bring the left arm across, just resting it against the outside edge of that right leg, and gazes over the right shoulder. Still pressing down through the right palm, breathing in and breathing out. Return yourself back around to the front, where once more you can either leave the legs out in front, or you can just cross them, draw them up to the body. Sitting nice and tall, just rest the hands for me just above the knees. And from here, taking a deep breath in then. You're going to close the eyes. So just rest in those hands above the knees. Chin is off the chest. Eyes are closed, just concentrating on the breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose, and a big breath out through the mouth. Breathing in, exhale through the mouth. So just releasing any tension as you exhale. Just let the shoulders come away from the ears. And concentrating only on the breath. Bringing yourself into the moment as you breathe in and breathe out. Taking this time for yourself. Three more long deep breaths here. Breathing in through the nose. Big breath out through the mouth. Breathing in and breathing out. Once more then, breathing in. And this time as you exhale, open up the eyes and bring the hands to the heart. Namaste. And thank you for joining us once more here in the BiGDUG studios. So remember, every Tuesday we'll be back on the mat at 6 and every Wednesday lunchtime at 12:30. So why not join us? See you next time.